Hi, my name is Maya, and I was born in a small town in Spain. When I was a child, English was something far away, something I only heard in songs on the radio or in movies with subtitles. Nobody in my family spoke it. At school, we had English classes, but they were short, and honestly, I never felt confident. I memorized words for exams, but I couldn't use them in real life. I remember the first time I tried to say something in English to a tourist in my town. I wanted to help him find the bus station. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. My face got hot and I just pointed in the direction instead. The man smiled politely, but inside, I felt embarrassed. For years, I told myself, I'm just not good at languages. I believed it. I thought maybe English was for other people who were smarter or had more opportunities. But then, something changed. I got a scholarship to study in another country, but the program was in English. Suddenly, English wasn't just a nice thing to know. It was the bridge between me and my future. If I couldn't cross it, I would lose my chance. That night, I sat at my desk looking at the acceptance letter. My hands were shaking. My brain whispered, Maya, you can't do this. You're too far behind. But my heart replied, you can start today, step by step. And that's how my journey began. Not with perfect grammar, not with big words, but with one small promise to myself. I will practice English every single day, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Phrases Maya learned in part 1. Step by step. Doing something slowly but surely. Example, learning English is hard, but step by step, I will improve.
A nice thing to know. Something useful but not necessary. Example, cooking is a nice thing to know, but not everyone loves it. Start today. Begin immediately without waiting. Example, don't wait for Monday. Start today. Vocabulary. Confident. Sure about yourself. Embarrassed. Feeling shy or uncomfortable because of something you did. Scholarship. Money given to a student to help pay for education. Opportunity. A good chance for something. Bridge. Here, a way to connect one thing to another.
Part 2. My first daily routine. The day after I made that promise to myself, I sat at my small kitchen table in Spain with a cup of café con leche. The morning sun was pouring through the window, and my mind was racing. Where do I even start? English felt like a giant mountain, and I was standing at the very bottom. I thought, if I try to climb it all at once, I'll give up. So instead, I decided to take just one small step every day. I made a simple rule. Every morning, after breakfast, I will do something in English for at least 15 minutes. It didn't matter if it was reading, listening, writing, or speaking. The important thing was to show up for myself every day. At first, it was hard. Some mornings, I wanted to skip it. I told myself, you're too busy, you'll do it tomorrow. But then I remembered, tomorrow never comes unless I make it come. So I started small. On Monday, I listened to a short English podcast while sipping my coffee. On Tuesday, I read a simple news article for learners. On Wednesday, I wrote 3 sentences about my day in a notebook. I didn't understand everything I read or heard, but I didn't let that stop me. I told myself, it's not about being perfect, it's about being present. At the end of that first week, I noticed something strange. I actually looked forward to my 15 minutes. It felt like a gift I was giving to myself, a quiet moment to grow. One morning, my mom walked into the kitchen and saw me listening to English on my phone. She asked, Pero ¿entiendes lo que dicen? But do you understand what they're saying? I smiled and replied in Spanish, No mucho, pero cada día un poco más. Not much, but a little more every day. That answer made me feel proud. I realized I wasn't climbing the whole mountain yet, but I had started walking, and that was enough. Phrases Maya learned in part 2. Show up for myself. To do something that supports your own growth. Example, even on hard days, I show up for myself and study English. A gift to myself. Something you do for your own benefit and happiness. Example, reading at night is a gift to myself after a long day. A little more every day. Improving slowly over time. Example, I don't understand everything, but I learn a little more every day. Vocabulary. Routine. Something you do regularly, often daily. Skip. To not do something you were supposed to do. Present. Here, meaning to be focused and in the moment. Gift. Something you give to someone or yourself without expecting anything in return.
Proud means feeling happy about what you or someone else achieved.
Part 3. Listening every day changed everything. After a few weeks of keeping my morning routine, I realized something important. If I only studied English during those 15 minutes, progress would be slow. I needed English to follow me through the day, like a friendly shadow. That's when I discovered the power of listening. At first, I thought listening was just about understanding words, but I soon learned it was also about training my ears, my mind, and even my mouth. I started small. In the morning, while brushing my hair, I played a short English podcast. I didn't understand every sentence. In fact, sometimes I only understood 30%, but I kept listening. While cooking lunch, I put on English music. At first, I only caught single words: love, dream, time. Later, I began to understand whole lines. I found myself singing along, even if my pronunciation wasn't perfect. When I walked to the grocery store, I played short English stories. I didn't pause or translate. I just let the words wash over me. Something magical happened after a month. My brain started recognizing familiar sounds. Words that once felt like strangers now felt like friends. I remember listening to a story one morning and realizing I understood the ending without thinking too hard. It was like the fog in my mind had started to lift. One day, my younger cousin came to visit. She saw my headphones and laughed. "Always English, huh?" I smiled. Yes, if I listen every day, one day English will listen to me. Listening had become more than practice. It was my daily companion, as natural as brushing my teeth or drinking my café con leche. And slowly, it was changing everything.
Phrases Maya learned in part 3. Like a friendly shadow, always with you, following you everywhere. Example, my best friend is like a friendly shadow. Wash over me, to feel something flow around you without resisting. Example, I let the music wash over me as I relaxed. The fog started to lift, to start understanding something more clearly. Example, after studying for a while, the fog in my brain started to lift. Vocabulary. Companion. A friend or something that stays with you. Pronunciation. The way a word is spoken. Familiar. Something you know well or recognize. Pause. To stop briefly. Lift. To rise or remove from a lower position.
Part 4. The power of shadowing. Once my listening improved, I wanted to speak more naturally, but every time I opened my mouth, my words came out slowly, with long pauses. I knew what I wanted to say, but my tongue felt heavy. That's what I learned about something called shadowing. The idea was simple. Listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say, immediately, like a shadow follows your body. I began with short videos and dialogues. I would press play, listen to one sentence, and repeat it right away. No stopping to translate, no worrying about mistakes, just copy the rhythm, the sound, the feeling. For example, I heard, "I want to learn English." I repeated, "I want to learn English." At first, I stumbled over words. My voice felt slow compared to the speaker. But after a few days, something amazing happened. My mouth started moving faster. My pronunciation improved. My pauses became shorter. I made shadowing my 5-minute daily game. While cooking, I would shadow the host of a cooking video. While watching a movie, I would pause and repeat a character's line. Sometimes I even shadowed English commercials on YouTube, anything that had a natural, clear voice. It felt strange at first, but then I realized this was the closest thing to having a real English conversation without another person in the room. The more I shadowed, the more confident I became, and confidence is the key that opens every locked door in language learning. Phrases Maya learned in Part 4. My tongue felt heavy, having difficulty speaking fluently. Example, when I was nervous, my tongue felt heavy. Stumble over words, to make mistakes or hesitate while speaking. Example, I stumbled over words during my presentation. Confidence is the key. Belief in yourself helps you succeed. Example, confidence is the key to speaking a new language. Vocabulary. Rhythm, the pattern of sounds and pauses in speech. Stumble, to trip or lose balance physically or in speaking. Commercial, an advertisement on TV, radio, or online. Natural, sounding normal and easy, not forced. Conversation, when two or more people talk to each other. Part 5. Thinking in English. One afternoon, while waiting for the bus, I caught myself translating a thought from Spanish into English in my head. Hace calor hoy, to it's hot today. It took me 5 seconds. I realized if I always translated, I would always be slow. So I set myself a new challenge. Think directly in English. At first, it was strange. My brain wanted to run back to Spanish, but I started with small, simple thoughts. When I woke up, I'm tired. When I made coffee, this smells good. When I looked outside, the sky is blue. Later, I whispered them out loud, like little secrets between me and the language. This bread is fresh. I need my keys. My bus is late again. Over time, these little sentences became habits. I no longer thought, ¿Cómo se dice esto en inglés? The words just came. Thinking in English didn't just make me faster. It made English feel like a part of me, not something I had to reach for. Phrases Maya learned in Part 5. Run back to return to something quickly. Example, when I'm scared, I run back to old habits. Like little secrets, something private or personal. Example, I keep my dreams like little secrets in my heart. A part of me, something connected deeply to your identity. Music is a part of me. Vocabulary, translate, to change words from one language to another. Challenge, something that tests your ability. Habit, something you do regularly without thinking much. Whisper, to speak very softly. Reach for, to try to get or use something. Part 6. Reading out loud made my voice stronger.
One rainy afternoon, I was reading a short English story silently in my room when I noticed something. I could understand it in my head, but when I tried to say a sentence out loud, my mouth felt unsure. That's when I remembered something I read online. Reading out loud is like going to the gym for your mouth. I decided to try it. I started with simple texts, children's books, beginner dialogues, even subtitles from my favorite shows. I read each sentence slowly, paying attention to every sound. My goal wasn't speed, it was clarity. This is my favorite day. I would pause, then read it again, a little faster. Then once more, but this time with feeling, like an actor performing a scene. This is my favorite day. It felt silly at first, but soon I noticed my pronunciation improving. Words started rolling off my tongue more easily. My confidence grew every time I read something with expression. Sometimes I would even record myself reading, then listen to the playback. Yes, I still made mistakes, but I could hear progress too, and that was enough to keep me going. Reading out loud became my secret weapon. It wasn't just practice, it was preparation for real conversations.
Phrases Maya learned in Part 6. Like going to the gym for your mouth. Practicing speaking to strengthen your skills. Example: reading aloud is like going to the gym for your mouth. Roll off my tongue. To say something easily and naturally. Example: after practicing, the new words rolled off my tongue. Secret weapon. Something powerful that helps you succeed. Example: my notebook is my secret weapon for learning vocabulary. Vocabulary. Silently, without making a sound. Clarity. Being clear and easy to understand. Expression. Showing feelings through your voice or face. Playback. Listening to or watching a recording. Preparation. Something that you do before an event to get ready. Part 7. Using English in my real life. Studying was important, but I knew I couldn't just keep English trapped inside my notebooks. I needed to let it live in my everyday life. So, I made small but powerful changes. First, I changed my phone language to English. Suddenly, every time I checked my messages or settings, I was learning without even trying. Next, I started keeping a mini diary in English. Every night, I wrote just 3 sentences about my day. Today I cooked pasta. I called my best friend. I watched a movie in English. I also began leaving short voice messages for myself on my phone. 1 minute of me talking about my day. Nothing perfect, just practice. Sometimes I listened back and laughed at my mistakes, but I also heard how much better I was getting. One of the best decisions I made was joining an online English chat group. We sent each other voice notes, questions, and little updates. At first, I was shy, but soon I realized everyone was learning just like me. English was no longer homework. It had become a part of my daily environment. Phrases Maya learned in Part 7. Trapped inside. Stuck somewhere and unable to come out. Example: don't keep your ideas trapped inside. Without even trying. Something that happens naturally without effort. Example: I learned new words without even trying. Daily environment. The place and situation you experience every day. I want English to be part of my daily environment. Vocabulary. Mini diary. A short record of daily events. Settings. Options you can change in a device or program. Shy. Feeling nervous around people. Update. New information about something. Environment. The surroundings you live or work in.
Part 8. Overcoming fear of mistakes. Even though I was practicing every day, I still carried one heavy weight: the fear of making mistakes. Whenever I tried to speak to someone in English, my heart would race. I worried they would laugh at me or not understand me. Sometimes I stayed quiet because silence felt safer. But then I remembered the tourist I once failed to help in my town. I thought, if I stay silent forever, I'll never learn. One day in a cafe, I heard two tourists speaking English at the next table. My hands were shaking, but I leaned over and asked, "Excuse me, where are you from?" They smiled and answered, "We spoke for only 2 minutes, but when I walked out of that cafe, I felt like I had climbed a mountain." I realized mistakes were not the enemy. Fear was the enemy. Every small conversation was a step forward, even if my grammar wasn't perfect. Phrases Maya learned in Part 8. Carried a heavy weight. Feeling worried or burdened by something. Example, I carried a heavy weight of fear before my first speech. Silence felt safer. Choosing not to speak to avoid risk. Example, in meetings, silence felt safer at first. Climb a mountain. To do something difficult and feel proud. Example, speaking English with strangers felt like climbing a mountain. Vocabulary. Fear. The feeling of being afraid. Tourist. Someone visiting a place for pleasure. Shaking. Moving slightly because of nervousness. Step forward. Progress toward a goal. Grammar. The rules of a language. Part 9. Seeing my progress. Months passed, and one morning I noticed something unexpected. English no longer felt like a stranger. It felt like an old friend I was still getting to know. I could follow conversations in movies without subtitles. I could order food in English without hesitation. I could write long messages to my online friends. One evening, I looked at my very first English notebook. The sentences were short, simple, and full of mistakes, but instead of feeling embarrassed, I smiled. That was proof of how far I had come. Progress doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, like the way plants grow while you're not watching. But one day, you look back and realize you're standing in a whole new garden. Phrases Maya learned in Part 9. An old friend I was still getting to know. Something familiar but still new in some ways. Example, this city feels like an old friend I'm still getting to know. Without hesitation. Doing something quickly and confidently. Example, she answered without hesitation. A whole new garden. A completely changed and improved situation. Example, after months of practice, my skills were a whole new garden. Vocabulary. Subtitle. Text on the screen showing what people are saying. Hesitation. Pausing because of uncertainty. Embarrassed. Feeling shy or uncomfortable. Proof. Evidence that something is true. Dramatic. Big and noticeable. Part 10. You can do it too. Now, when I speak English, I remember the girl I used to be, the one who stayed silent, afraid to try. I wish I could tell her, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. I learned English not in one big leap, but through tiny steps, listening every day, shadowing short sentences, thinking in English, reading aloud, writing in my diary, speaking to strangers. You don't need to live in London. You don't need a teacher every day. You don't need to study for hours. You just need to start today. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one habit at a time. Step by step, your English will grow. Your confidence will grow. And one day, you'll look back and say, I speak English now. If I could do it, starting from a small town in Spain with nothing but determination, you can too. Phrases Maya learned in Part 10. Not in one big leap, not all at once. Example, success comes not in one big leap, but in small steps. One habit at a time, focusing on small, regular actions. Example, improve your health by building one habit at a time. You can too. You are also able to do it. Example, I learned to play the guitar, and you can too. Vocabulary, consistent, doing something regularly without giving up. Leap, a big jump. Determination, the will to keep going even when it's hard. Habit, something you do regularly. Confidence, belief in yourself.